Hello dear students, this is Sahana, biology lecturer. So today I'll be going to discuss certain important topic for your upcoming board examination. So biology just 4 chapters na refer ಮಾಡಿ ನೀವು 30 marks minimum 30 to 40 marks ಹೇಗೆ ಸ್ಕೋರ್ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಾನು ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋದಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. So if you go for a blueprint, so blueprint ಅಲ್ಲಿ you already know the question paper pattern. So in the question paper pattern there will be having of and 4 mains. So part A, part B, part C ಮತ್ತೆ part D. Part A ನಲ್ಲಿ 2 segregation ada, part D also you have a 2 segregation. So part A ನಲ್ಲಿ first main multiple choice you will be going to have a 15 questions. Part A ನಲ್ಲಿ second main ನಲ್ಲಿ you will be going to have a 5 fill in the blanks questions. And in part B short answer, that is 2 marks, 8 questions irutte, you have to answer any 5 questions in it. Part C ನಲ್ಲಿ 8 questions irutte, again you have to answer any 5. Part D ನಲ್ಲಿ ನೋಡೋದಾದ್ರೆ you will be going to have 8 questions. In that 8 you have to answer any 4. And part D ನಲ್ಲಿ 3 questions irutte, 3 questions ಅಲ್ಲಿ you have to answer any 1. So each chapter na marks distributions anta nododadre, so first chapter, that is sexual reproduction in flowering plant, you will get minimum 11 marks in it. Human reproduction alli 11 marks sigutte. Reproductive health 6 marks ide. Principles of inheritance you have 14 marks in it. Molecular basis of inheritance also have 14 marks. Evolution alli 7 marks barutte. Human health and diseases 13 marks barutte. Microbes in human welfare 8 marks barutte. Biotechnology and its principle and process 8 marks. Biotechnology and its application 6 marks barutte. And when comes to an ecology, so organism and population will have a 7 marks. Ecosystem 5 marks. Biodiversity and conservation in the 5 marks barutte. So overall is an 115 mark question paper. So idralli just referring this 4 chapter, by referring 4 chapter how you can easily score minimum 30 to 40 marks ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನ ನೋಡೋಣ. So first chapter nododadre, first chapter is sexual reproduction in flowering plant. Mainly sexual reproduction in flowering plant and human reproduction alli you can expect most of the diagrams. So diagrams na nododadre, first ge you will be going to get it, certain times you will get it young anther or matured dehisced anther. ee eredralli this so in this two, that is young anther or matured dehisced anther, any one diagram you can expect for your board exam. Certain times they will ask for an 3 marks or 2 marks, or sometimes they ask both the diagrams for an 5 marks also. Next diagram nododadre, so this is an very important, usually last time previous question paper and all if you refer, usually this diagram they'll be going to ask, that is matured embryo sac diagram. So matured embryo sac diagram also you will be going to get it for an 5 marks. So matured embryo sac, this is an, if they ask the questions, write the neat labeled diagram of a matured embryo sac, means you have to write this diagram, and this diagram will fetch you 5 marks. And we'll move on to the next diagram. So here I am concentrating more of in diagrams. So first diagram nododadre, young or the matured dehisced anther diagram they will ask. Second one is a matured embryo sac. Or third one, if you see the previous year question paper, they have asked 5 marks, that is fertilized embryo sac. You have to see the difference between the matured embryo sac and the fertilized embryo sac. This is matured embryo sac, and this diagram is a fertilized embryo sac. So they'll ask the question, describe the structure of a fertilized embryo sac. For that you have to write this diagram. If they have asked only matured embryo sac, you have to write the diagram. And one more 100% sure question. So all the time generally they used to ask the question, that is anatropous ovule. So this anatropous ovule is an 5-mark question and it is a definite question. Make sure that you will mention the ends of an ovule, that is chalaza end and the micropylar end, inside of it the embryo sac. You have to write the proper labeled diagram. So this diagram is an definite questions for your final examination. So this will give you 5 marks for it. Another diagram in this chapter, so previous preparatory exam if you are consider, so they have asked this question for an 5 marks, ls of an embryo sac. So certain times they will ask for an 3 marks typical dicot embryo. So if they ask typical dicot embryo, so you have to write this diagram. So 3 marks they will ask, otherwise 5 marks they will be going to ask this question, ls of embryo of grass, otherwise they'll ask the dicot embryo generally for. So these are all the generally the diagram. So in the diagram we have seen that matured embryo sac, young and the dehisced anther, fertilized embryo sac, ls of an embryo grass or the typical dicot embryo. These are all the 5 diagram. If you are practice, definitely you will be going to get 5 marks in it. Other than that, you can also refer what is pollination, kinds of an pollination. So generally 3 mark question you can expect, that is biotic and abiotic. So abiotic or the biotic, any one of the questions you can get it for an 3 marks. And next we'll move on to the second question, that is double fertilization. So they will ask what is double fertilization and describe the fertilized embryo sac. So this is the questions generally they will ask. So just refer the double fertilization. And the third question is artificial hybridization. So they will ask the question, what is artificial hybridization, and write its techniques. So these are all the questions in the first chapter. We'll move on to the second chapter, that is human reproduction. So in the human reproduction, you all know that there will be having definite one diagram for an 5 marks, maybe of an female reproductive system, male reproductive system. So if they ask the diagram, make sure that you have to write the labeled diagram of the same. So male and female reproductive system. And then previous from past 3 years they are asking this question, that is mammary gland. So you just practice the diagram of an mammary gland. And for a 3 mark question they are going to ask the question, that is spermatogenesis or oogenesis. So this is usually the schematic representation of an oogenesis or the spermatogenesis. This generally you give it 3 marks for you. Okay, so this is in 3 marks question. Other than that, so there will be 4 diagram, among 4 any one diagram you will get. Okay, so in the human reproduction, other than the diagram, they will ask certain question, that is hormones produces during the pregnancy. Next question is, what is placenta? Hormones produces in the placenta. Next question is parturition and lactation. Along with this, they will ask one more question, that is implantation. So they will ask one more question, implantation also. So just refer this definition. A fourth one is in fetus. And the fourth question is fetal ejaculation reflex. So fetal ejection reflex, again 3 mark question you can expect in this chapter. We'll move on to the next topic, that is reproductive health. In the reproductive health, you won't expect like there is no diagram in this chapter. So very important questions is contraceptive method. Mainly they'll be going to ask the question on this contraceptive method. In the contraceptive there is a different method, physical method, natural barrier method, all those things is there. Just refer the contraceptive method. So in the contraceptive method definitely you're going to get 1 questions in it. Next one is, what is infertility? Technique to overcome of an infertility, that you have to write a gift, AI, so whatever is there, IVF. So all those techniques you have to write, you have to elaborate each technique. Next one is for an 2 marks or a 3 marks, you can expect the question from the sexually transmitted infection. So this is the definite questions. 100% you will get the questions from this sexually transmitted infections, any one of the diseases or any one of the infections you have to write. Next is reasoning questions they will ask, that is for an 2 marks or for an 3 marks, medically termination of a pregnancy. So why medically terminated pregnancy is legal in India? So that is what one question you will get it in this chapter. Next we'll move on to the fourth chapter, that is genetics, principles of inheritance and variation. So you all know that principles of inheritance and variation, there is a definite questions you will get it, that is monohybrid cross. So you just refer this diagram for a monohybrid cross. Second one is a dihybrid cross. So usually they are going to ask the question with the seed shape and color only. So just refer this diagram and practice the same. You have to mention the phenotypic and the genotypic ratio. For a monohybrid and dihybrid, make sure that you will mention the ratios of phenotypic and the genotypic ratio. Next one is an income. Along with the monohybrid and dihybrid, you can also expect the questions from the incomplete dominance. So along with the monohybrid and dihybrid cross, they will ask the question of an incomplete dominance with reference to one snapdragon. So they will ask the question. So please go through this tabular column or whatever the Punnett is there or Punnett square is there, just refer this and make sure that you will mention the phenotypic and the genotypic ratio of a same. And next we'll move on to the question and answer. So in this, if you go for a question and answers, means a definite question you can expect is a chromosomal disorder or the Mendeleev disorder. In this too, you are going to get any one of the question for an 5 marks. That is an 100% sure. Along with the monohybrid, dihybrid, incomplete dominance, chromosomal disorder and the Mendeleev disorder, you can expect from the genetics for an 5 marks. For a 3 marks question, that is sex determination in birds, Drosophila, honeybee, and they will ask in the humans also. Okay, so 3 mark questions they may ask from the bird, Drosophila, honeybee, or in case of an human beings. Other than that, for a 2 mark question, differentiation or write the definition of an linkage and the recombination. So these are all the generally the questions you can expect for this coming board examination. For an biology, you just practice the diagram whatever I have shown in the video. Along with that, you just refer the questions which I have given here. So through these questions and the diagram, 100% sure that you can easily score minimum 30 marks on it. Thank you so much.